people. We're sitting in our nice house with everything you could possibly want, all the food you could possibly want of any kind. We just can eat till, and we sit around and I said, I want something. I don't know what it is. We didn't complain about something we don't even know what it is. You got to think about how ungrateful we are. There's only 2 people in the promised land out of that group. That's a scary thing. We need to be grateful, long-suffering people. And I thought, I don't know if I can do this, Lord, because I'll automatically complain sometime. I went down to bake donuts, and I'm down there, as you know, I make them for Wednesday night. And I was down there in the kitchen. I'm all ready to make it, and everything's going good, and I've been real happy around the house and not complaining about anything because I've been working on this because I realized that something's missing in my life. I should be grateful that everything happens to me, that everything's had happened, and all the things I went through was for a purpose, and I thank God for it. But I was going down there to make the donuts, and I got this cup of empty coffee cup I got from it's not empty, but I mean this from Pilot Station, I'm trying to say. It's a trucker's coffee cup. I drove a truck for a long time, and I got a big coffee cup. It's a big one. I'm a real man trucker. And I had that thing full to the top. I'm going to go down and make those donuts and just enjoy myself and help everybody else, I'm hoping. And I set that on the counter, and I was swinging around to do something, and my depth perception not very good. And I'm going to give you a little helpful hint. You can have these no-spill cups, but if the top comes off, it's still going to spill. The whole thing. And I knocked it on the floor. Accident. And I'm looking at that mess, and I said, Dad, that's probably for a reason. I love spilled coffee. And I looked at that. It looked like the Mississippi River down there. There was so much coffee. And I realized I'm going to have to clean this up. And I looked at it a while and thinking, oh, that's why I stop so often in the truck. That's a lot of coffee. So I understood that at that point, so I went down and carefully cleaned everything up the best that I could, and just doing real good. And I got my donuts all made, and I put it. I never griped about it or complained one time, and I had the glaze bin up there. Rose just made some wonderfully fresh glaze, and I had all these apple fritters just beautiful up there, and got them all done. Went down to pull the rack out and get something out, and as I did, I pulled the whole tray over, and I didn't know, and all of a sudden I heard a bang behind me, and I looked over, and this whole thing of glaze is upside down on top of all those beautiful fritters that I just made on this floor. I'm a very clean person. I don't keep anything that hit the floor. And I start saying, Lord, that was for a reason. And I'm trying to be calm and cool. And Rose walked in that time, and she looked, and I said, don't say anything. Well, I tried to get my breath, and I tried to clean this mess all up. Well, she made that with a lot of butter. That made that floor extremely slick. And I tried different things to get it all cleaned up. And I forgot all about it, and we just had to throw those donuts away, and just a sorry, sad thing, but I'm still happy. I'm not complaining about nothing. And I come in there, and I said, Rose, she wanted me to go get me a rag or something for something she found outside. I ran around the corner, and I hit that floor just like I was on it. And I'm laying on the floor, and I didn't know what all happened because I landed on this arm that was tore up, and of course she heard me hit. And she stuck around the corner, and I just started laughing because I know it was testing my faith. And she says, you all right? And I said, well, I got a feeling I'm going to be very sore in the morning. But my toes wiggled, and my arms moved, and I did my little medical check before I tried to move. Everything was fine, and I got up, and I tried to continue to clean that mess up. And you know what happened because I didn't complain or I would have complained? Nothing! It didn't hurt me a bit. And you know what? I didn't go around mad the rest of the day. Didn't bother me a bit. I got right over it. I'm like, you know what? Everything that happens to us, we should be thankful for. And it won't even bother you. We shouldn't complain about. Now, this long-suffering thing is tough. Sometimes things really go wrong, and I don't want to suffer through this, God. We've seen what Job went through. We know that he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. It's enduring. Enduring means hardships. We are Christians. Don't get a free ride. We're still humans on this earth. It's going to be tough. But if we endure to the end with a good attitude, we're not wanting to save ourselves, we're going to save our family. One of those things in the Facebooks that Pastor Jim sent me, the pastor over there, and I kind of passed it around, and it showed a couple holding hands. Your first ministry is your marriage. Amen. Oops. Your first ministry is your marriage. If you can't set a good example for your family, and the worst example you can set is complain about everything. And how easy is to complain? I'm going to tell you now, it's tough. God hates complaining. He hates it. It's all right. Work on that. Find the Holy Spirit to give you happiness and peace in your heart. But you know what's worse than long suffering? What's the hardest thing for me to long suffer? And I've gone through years of this, and it took a lot of practice on this. Suffering somebody else's complaining. You know what? We only like our own complaints. We don't like anybody else's. Have you ever run up to somebody and says, you say to them very stupidly without thinking, how's your day going? And they tell you. An hour later, it's still going on. And then so it's so bad that you got to fight back with your bad day. You got more than fish heads to eat, folks. We have no complaints here in America. I'm just sorry. But anyway, you have to listen to their long suffering, and they're carrying on for wah. And you know what? The first thing you want to do is just tell them to shut up or something, but you know what? You have to be patient and kind. You know, sometimes the absolute best thing you can do, the best witness you can ever be in life, is keep your mouth shut and hear it out. You know, I'm talking to my son about some of the things. We kind of have different, I don't want to say a negative attitude towards psychologists, because I'm sure there's some good people out there, and Christian psychologists is doing their best to help people's mind out. But the truth of the matter is, we used to sit around the dinner table years ago, and that's where we talk our little issues out with our family and have nice, pleasant chat, talk, and conversation. We could tell each other problems. And you know what? People need to talk about their problems to somebody else. They need to do it. But you know why everybody has to go to a psychologist and stuff to do it? Instead of a pastor or a fellow Christian brother or a sister or a mom and dad? Is because when you tell them your problems, you're the first one to say, why'd you do something that stupid for? How can you be so stupid? Why would you make a mistake like that? Are you stupid or something? That's the first thing that comes out of your people's mouth. Because you know what's best for their situation. You know nothing. Only Jesus Christ did. The best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut and pray for them and love them and listen to them. That's the Christian example. That's all you're doing when you're going to a psychologist normally. You're paying for him not to comment on your problem. You need to get out. That's it. I know what I'm talking about when I spent years in law enforcement. I don't know how many family fights I had to break up with myself, and you're not even supposed to go in there. And I found my absolute best way to do that is just sit there and listen very interestingly to both of them. And I'll tell you, at times I thought, these are the silliest people I ever heard in my life, but I didn't show that. I just sat there because you know what? That problem may be silly to me, but it's not to them. But Jesus knows every problem you've got, and you're all serious to him. And he is the answer for every problem you've got. He showed us the best example as Christians. You say you're a Christian, you say you've got the Holy Spirit in you, you say you've got all this going for you, and yet we yet to follow Jesus' example in our churches. And it's stunning to me. Jesus gave us the best example of how to be a Christian his last few hours on the cross. Did you know that? Here he is, the Son of God. He's nailed at the cross. He's done it and said, Father, forgive them. They know what they do. He's forgiven everybody. And there's two other people hanging on crosses beside him. Now think about this. One said, remember me when you enter your kingdom. And Jesus said, this day thou shalt be with me in paradise. The other one was still railing with his mouth at Jesus. If he's the Son of God, you come down. Now Jesus knew this man. He knew his heart, and he knew in just a matter of seconds he was going to burn it into eternal hell. And Jesus didn't say, you better shut your mouth, you're going to hell. If you don't stop doing that, you're going to hell. You know how many times I hear that out of people call themselves Christian? Jesus answered not a word. His example for us was, shut your mouth. That was his example. Oh, you want to spread the gospel, you want to tell them about the love of Jesus, but you don't want to tell somebody what they're doing wrong. There's not one person has been led to Christ through ridicule. Not your children, not your family, not your friends. Nobody will be led to Christ through criticism. It won't happen. You'll only be led to Christ through the Holy Spirit, and He is love. You either show that love as a Christian, or you're wasting your effort. And God's going to judge you by that. God will not judge you on how other people treated you. He's going to judge you by how you treated others. Period. Our time is soon coming. I'm assuring you it's going to come that we're going to face God. And the very person that we can't forgive, the very person that's given us the most trouble, we still have hatred in our heart, will be the very reason that God may say, depart from me, you wicked, I never knew you. You cursed them to an everlasting fire, prepare for the devil's angels, I never knew you. Because Jesus loved the world. He loved everybody. He asked to forgive everybody. If we don't have that kind of forgiveness, we're going to miss it. We need that kind of love in our heart. We need that kind of forgiveness in our heart. And whatever goes wrong, and I know it's going to be tough, especially if you're married. If something goes wrong, not to get negative and complaining. I've made it a real challenge for my wife around the house. I can't help it. I'm changing a lot of my ways in life. I want you to know, because of things in the past, I've realized where I've erred. I've actually had my wife walk in front of the car 4 different times lately, and I didn't honk at her. I gave up on that. She fell for it every time. It's the hardest thing for me not to do. But I know that I don't want to do anything negative. I can't give her a negative attitude today, because I tell you what, I found out too for sure, if she gets in that car mad, dinner's not going to be very pleasant. I find it's a lot easier just to be a kind, loving Christian and withhold those temptations from the devil. It works. Be happy. Be long-suffering. Be tolerant of one another. Be loving and kind to one another. Even when people you don't think you like, if you don't like somebody, it's not them with the problem. Sorry. It's in your own heart. Jesus loved us all. He set that example.